Hello everybody, I'm Greg Herder. I'm a Service Learning Coordinator in the Metro Twin Cities area of Minnesota. I also work for the last couple of years with the Minnesota Serve Committee, which works around the issues of service learning and volunteerism here in the state. I'd like to talk to you really briefly about a bill in the Minnesota legislature this session. The bill provides for what's basically a kind of a Minnesota version of the old federal Serve and Learn program. Only on a much smaller statewide scale. And we're pushing this because in the absence of federal action lately, we thought it'd be a good thing to go ahead and try and position Minnesota as a leader in the country. We've been a leader historically in service learning. I think it's time to start thinking about how we can support this practice better, especially now that the new federal legislation that did away with No Child Left Behind has happened, the Every Student Succeeds Act, ESSA. If you read that really closely, the door's opening a little bit more towards more applied learning opportunities for kids. What this bill provides for is a specialist at the Minnesota Department of Education, something they used to have under Serve and Learn, but has since been diminished greatly. This would put a specialist there on a par with the content specialists that they employ in the core areas. And that's important for getting support out to schools who maybe don't have the fiscal resources to hire consultants to help them with this kind of work. The MDE folks have always been there to provide good support when they've had the funding to do so. So that's the first part of this bill. To get somebody at MDE who understands this, can support it, and can help folks network across the state. The second piece is a innovation grant program. And this is designed to support specifically partnerships between public schools at this point and outside community entities. Everything from nonprofit groups to post-secondary institutions, select faith groups depending on how they do business, and businesses as well. We feel this is an important piece because most of the benefit from service learning comes from long-term partnerships with the outside community. And it's really hard to keep ongoing, productive relationships going with partners in this climate for lots of reasons. And different areas of the state have different issues. In the rural areas, sometimes it's a matter of logistics. It's hard to partner with somebody because of distance, because of kind of saturation of private businesses, and then also fiscal pieces. Smaller businesses have less to work with. Sometimes it's about the fiscal piece, and you see that a lot in the inner cities where schools like to partner with nonprofits, but a lot of the community nonprofits are living from check to check. Having a grant support system in place that's focused on innovative partnerships and projects can make a big difference in how far schools and students are able to take service learning. So in a way, it's looking to kind of remove some barriers for different parts of the state, for different groups. The grant program will consist annually of 32 grants that are between $25,000 and $50,000. It's a 5-year cycle with grants provided every year. However, those grants are not a done deal. They have to be approved in allocations each biennium. They are specifically given in a 50-50% partnership with public schools. There's no language currently covering private or parochial schools. We're looking to potentially change that because it's a good practice and it shouldn't necessarily, as a competitive grant program, only be open, I think, to public entities. Grant money is to be split evenly between the school and the partners, so it's not a typical situation where one group is kind of the lead partner. The last thing, which I think is really awesome in this grant program, is that students have to be involved from the ground up. This isn't a grant situation where adults do the work and figure out a partnership and figure out a partner and figure out a project and then enlist kids to help do it. The ground level of this grant requires student investment, student engagement, and student innovation in figuring out who to partner with and what kind of project they want to run. What you can do first is to reach out to your local representative. And we're asking that you shoot them an email. A long time held old school wisdom about representatives catering to their constituencies is true. So your first stop should be with the folks who represent your district. Your second step is to check if your representative or senators are respectively on the House Education Finance Committee or the Senate Finance Committee, because that's the next those are the next two committees that our bill would need to pass before it comes to general consideration in the House and Senate. If your representative or senator are on either of those committees, definitely reach out to them, again, as a constituent, but let them know that you're hoping that they take this bill up this session for a hearing and then pass it on. The final thing you can do, go to your caucus. Caucus isn't just for deciding who you want to be your candidate in the presidential election. It's also about what you stand for within whatever party you caucus with, Republican, Independent, Democrat. They're looking for grassroots input on what the party should mean. And it's a perfect opportunity to get that, your support for this kind of learning into the record and potentially into the national platform. Thanks much. Get out and vote, and we greatly appreciate your support on this issue.